edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to contractorsecretweapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at contractorsecretweapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to contractorsecretweapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to contractorsecretweapon.com/Radius Bomb.
Okay, hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon, and today, we've been having some really awesome guests, and today I have another awesome guest, Reggie Brock. And Reggie has been, in the last 30 years, has been in the construction business, but regarding to managed repair companies. And he's been 23 years in the insurance industry, 7 years in the roofing contractor and consulting, and 2.5 years as a director of managed repair program. So for some of you guys who don't know what managed repair is, it's about the insurance industry, where it's going, whether it's to be good for your business or bad for your business. And I thought it'd be really great to have Reggie on the program so he could explain some of that to you guys who are in the insurance industry, are doing business with insurance companies, and for some of you guys who might think about whether you want to wade into that area or jump in, however you want to do it. So, Reggie, I just want to thank you for being with us today so you could share this. I know this is an important topic for a lot of contractors.
Well, first, thanks for having me, Dave. It is, and you're right. I mean, this is, if you're in the insurance, you do insurance work, whether it's retail work, and insurance is a part of that, or if you want to get into the insurance industry, this is a segment of the industry that really needs to have great consideration given to it. And my job, my opportunity really on this show and in other places that I am, is just to educate and to inform. Dave, I'm not going to tell people a recommendation particularly through our conversation today, but more of just like, guys, here's the full view, so to speak, of the industry and the impact that managed repair is having, not only just on the industry, but them as individual contractors as well.
Right. So, we had talked earlier about this, and I know that there's a lot of guys who make a great living at doing insurance work, and I think that for benefit today, we're going to talk about managed repair programs. Mm-hmm. And so you can explain it a little bit differently, but there's pros and cons, isn't there?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And, it's like anything. In my opinion, managed repair is not for everyone, right? And insurance work is not for everyone. And, I think that people, to make a great decision, people meaning contractors, to make a great decision, they just need to have an abundance of facts, right? And so when you hear a lot of the conversation that you've heard, like in the last 8 months to a year in the industry, has been pretty negative about managed repair in some circles. And so what I found in listening to that information is it was more fear-based, and they just didn't understand. So based upon my background, 23 years in the insurance business, I understand policy construct, I understand payment, I understand how the insurance company views things, and then, the guys that are out doing the work, the contractors, I did that for 7 years. I know what it's like. Those guys getting out and knocking doors till their knuckles bleed, right? And I know what it is to be on a roof that I have no business being on safely, right? And then the third side of it is I've worked with a managed repair company for 2.5 years. So really what I'm able to do is kind of blend without endorsing, so to speak, good information to these contractors. They'll make up their own mind based upon facts, not just feelings.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, because I think that so many times we get, as contractors, we just see dollar signs,
right?
Or like I remember when I first went into the painting business. Dumb. But my brother was in the painting business. He wanted a big wad of cash, and I go, dude, that's for me.
Right.
But once I started, doing all the stuff that was necessary, I was like, I started this road, I got to finish it. But a lot of times we get into things like what I'm really trying to say is we get into things under false pretenses.
Right.
So how do we get by that? I know. We're talking about a lot of that today. And your job is basically to, like you said, inform. Because, like you said, there's a lot of negative stuff going on. And I've heard a lot of negative stuff, not just lately, but it's just, I didn't get treated right, or I didn't. But a lot of it has to do with following, I guess, would and just from my estimation, is following the right procedures and paperwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difficulty for most contractors that I talk to who have been, let's start with the guys who are, most of their business is working insurance claims. So, managed repair programs are really a secondary way of working an insurance claim most contractors are not comfortable with.
Okay.
Because they have really. Contractors, generally speaking, control the insurance job from start to finish, so to speak. And the problem, Dave, is that contractors and insurance companies for years and years and years have been mortal enemies to some degree, right? The insurance company thinks they overpay, the contractor thinks they underpay, and really the what's caught in the middle is the policyholder. And so, a lot of times because of that combative mentality, so to speak, the policyholder suffers from a servicing standpoint and an experiential standpoint. So, managed repair is just another version of how an insurance claim works. It's just the controls look a little bit different. And so, honestly, to really understand the shift, here's one of the things that I hear all the time is Reggie, managed repair a trend or is it a shift? And, like I know, Dave, that, trends come and go is not anything you need to be concerned about. But if there is a shift, you better prepare yourself. And, when the top 10 insurance companies last year basically spent more money than they took in, all but 3 of them in the top 10 carriers across the country, they're going to make adjustments. Yeah. And usually what happens is what motivates that is really 2 things. And that is there's a sense of overpayment that the insurance company has had a claim that they paid too much money for. Okay. And the second thing is there's usually fraud involved in billing. From a historical standpoint, that's kind of those are the indicators of when insurance companies are going to get a better grip on payment and reconciliation, and that's kind of what's happening right now. Okay. And I'll give you a perfect example. I'm with contractors constantly, and all the contractors tell me I'm underpaid. I'm not overpaid. They're not giving me too much money. And I asked them, have you ever done work or been paid for work that you didn't do? And all of them are like, well, absolutely not. Well, if you just look at a simple roof and gutters to be replaced because of hail or windstorm, right. There's most of these guys out here, or not most of them, because there's crazy high deductibles. Especially we do a lot of work in Texas, and sure. There's a lot of, and I'm sure certain Florida's kind of the same way. There's high deductibles that these homeowners are having to wrestle with to get the claim handled, and paying out of their pocket. So contractors get creative. And one of the things that they do is they take money that was allocated for a repair and, they don't do it, and they use the money that was given to the homeowner to offset the cost of the deductible.
No, isn't that fraud?
Yeah, well, it's not. When it becomes fraud is when you send the insurance company a bill stating you did the work and didn't. Okay. Because the way insurance companies set their pay up is they'll give the contractor or the homeowner money up front to start the job, but they want to make for sure before they pay all the money that they want to make sure the work was actually done. And so, and in a lot of cases, like for example, gutters and things like that, contractors, get reimbursed for work that they didn't do, and that's where the fraud comes into play. Okay. So that's kind of historically what's created this shift that we're seeing today.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question for the guys that know nothing about insurance work and managed repair, is because I don't know, and I'm just gathering stuff. I know we talked a little about it before. But managed repair is basically a go-between the contractor and the insurance company. Is that correct?
That's a pretty good way to describe it. We're a third-party administrator, or companies like us are, and you're exactly right. Rather than the conventional method of a homeowner calling and saying, I think I have roof damage, they'll call the insurance company, and then the insurance company routes it through their field adjusters, and they all have their conventional way of doing it. Sure. What managed repair companies do is they find qualified, certified contractors in areas all across the country, and then when a claim comes in from a carrier partner that they have, like a relationship with a particular insurance company, a claim comes in, the insurance company will generally route it to the managed repair company, who then from start to finish manages through the contractor, the local contractor, the project until completion. And so the insurance company has what, they trust the managed repair or third party administrator. Sure. That's what many of these companies are called, to handle the customer experience, right? From start to finish. So there's not a whole lot of moving parts, so to speak, that confuses homeowners. And so, that managed repair company sits in the middle between the customer, the contractor, and the insurance company, and tries to coordinate what I call a smooth landing with the customer experience.
With one wheel, right?
Right, exactly.
So I'm thinking from I'm gonna not play devil's advocate, but I'm gonna think about it from a homeowner's point of view, and then think about it from a contractor's point of view, and from a homeowner's point of view, I think that managed repair would help me have a better experience with both the insurance company and the contractor, because there is, in essence, a mediator.
Right.
And now, from a contractor standpoint, I can.
So before you go to contractor, let's talk about the homeowner for a second. You bring up a great point. The homeowner, and I don't know how the area you live in is, but like in Texas and Colorado, where I've spent a lot of time, a hailstorm comes in particular, and it's like ants on an anthill in a neighborhood, right? I mean, people knocking doors. I mean, there's flyers being left on door, and that's it. And so what happens is homeowners truly don't understand who to choose in many cases. Right. So one of the things that a managed repair company provides as a requirement from the insurance carrier is the vetting of the contractor. So they have to pass financial background. They have to find, credibility in the local market and those type of things that, so when a homeowner says, an insurance company says, hey, I'll send out one of our preferred contractors, that contractor has gone through a strenuous process before they ever can walk on the property. That creates a lot of confidence with the homeowner. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think
that's perfect. That's the perfect scenario, because as a homeowner, I want to know that I'm not getting chuck in a truck that has been okayed by the insurance company to do my work.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to tell you from an experience from a family member that we had a process where they dealt directly with the contractor and the insurance company, and it was very interesting, and it took probably 2 months longer than it should have.
Right.
And not saying that they were good or bad either way. It's just I can see the benefit
Yeah.
of especially the family member, because she was on the phone every day,
Yeah.
almost literally every day, between the contractor and the insurance company, where it could have been handled with one person and it could have been done in a way that was acceptable to all.
Yeah, and the homeowner,
Yeah.
when a homeowner deals through a managed repair program, generally speaking, getting them whole or back to normal life is a much faster much faster process, because the insurance company, with most of the managed repair companies that they have very strict requirements in terms of getting the homeowner back to a life prior to a storm in a very expedient way. So there's not a lot of finger pointing, and there's not a lot. I mean, it's a very process driven system that ultimately is geared the way it is to make sure that the customer experience is what the insurance company promised.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. You're right. Now, just like with anybody, though, I mean, there are people in managed repair, contractors and managed repair companies who mess up and, create problems. But by and large, that's kind of the reason behind managed repair from a carrier standpoint and homeowner.
Is to vet them, to make sure that they've done work in the past and that they're good for their word and they're reputable and they're honest and all this stuff. I know there's and there again, and I'm going to talk about from the contractor standpoint, from two different scenarios, because I would think that from the contractor who is above board, who is honest in his dealings, who really goes out of his way to create the value for the customer, and I believe most do.
I agree.
I believe that most do, and of course it's the squeaky ones that screw things up for everybody else.
Right.
But I would think there again, from that contractor who's been vetted, that this poses a unique situation for them in the fact that they don't have to deal with the insurance company, in their dealings. They've got the managed repair company, and that if they're good at what they do and they're like registered with a managed repair company, that it is a nice avenue of income for them. I'm not going to say, and because I've never been an advocate of putting all your eggs in one basket. I believe in multiple streams of income. So that's why I say it could be a nice avenue of income for them, as long as they do other things.
And you bring up, that is the greatest point probably going to be on this conversation. Managed repair should not be looked at as replacement, but simply addition to, right? So, because honestly, depending on the type of managed repair program you're involved in, I can pretty well tell you that contractors are going to make generally not as much money in particular with working through managed repair, because managed repair companies have to be paid.
Sure.
But if you look at the work that they're doing and what work they're not doing and compare the income kind of streams, it's a lot closer than most people think. The biggest thing that we hear I've heard from contractors with managed repair programs is that three things. Number one, by going sent basically by insurance company because you're a preferred contractor to the homeowner knows who you are coming as a contractor. It kind of moves you to the front of the line in terms of marketing, because you're endorsed by, when I say endorsed, you're absolutely vetted by the carrier, and that just creates confidence with the homeowner. The second thing it does is it puts them into neighborhoods, and usually because managed repairs, especially in roofing, managed repairs, there's such a quick turnaround in a big storm hit area. That guy that's with the managed repair program gets in there first, gets his sign or her sign in the yard. They get the roof done in many cases before the other company's insurance adjusters even been out there. So it's giving them a huge advantage.
Yeah, and there again, from a marketing standpoint, you don't have to pay for marketing.
Right.
So why do you need to be paid as much? I mean, and I'm not saying, and like you said, the variables are close. So there's a lot of things that you should consider. Is that I don't have to pay for marketing. I don't have to pay for multiple callbacks, stuff like that, because my appointment's being made for me in a sense by a referral, and your closing ratios are always higher with referrals.
Much.
And
right.
then, the smart contractor is not going to wait to put a sign in their driveway or their yard, saying, we've done this, or we're content. They're going to go out and they're going to do a 5 or 10 around and say, hey, we're a trusted advisor or trusted by a managed repair for these companies or insurance companies. Can we assist you in any way to make? That's a great
point. That's a great point, and I mean that's the real winning card played here, so to speak, if you don't mind me saying it that way. And the thing I need to make for sure is that it's like going into an ice cream shop when it comes to looking for managed repairs. There's a variety of tastes, right? And each of them do different things. So I hear guys saying, well, managed repair does this. No, they don't. They have a different taste and a different approach to the market. And in many cases, they have different services that they render, which kind of helps a contractor realize, well, so that she's not, am I in a managed repair? It is it another, as you said, avenue to the business that I'm already doing that can help me add income stream to our portfolio as a business, so to speak. And, so, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say in that is there's so many different varieties. What I try to help guys to do is, okay, how do I choose which managed repair to be a part of?
That
like, for example,
my next question, because I'm sure that there's like A to Z, but you have to find the one that's going to best fit you and your business, and how you operate your business. I would imagine, because I'm sure there's, they're like
I mean, there's flavors, they're all. Yeah. So one of the things that I tell guys, the most important thing is you need to be a part of a managed repair program that is extremely close in what they do to your core competency as a business, right? So if you're a roofer, you need to be looking for MRPs or managed repairs or third-party administrators that their focus is on roofing. And why is that? Because the transition will be easier. You'll understand, the training will be closer to what you're already doing so that it won't be a huge leap in terms of energy. The second thing I tell them is you need to figure out what I call the exchange rate is. What am I giving as a contractor and what am I getting in return? Because if it doesn't make sense for the time you're getting and there's proper compensation that you feel, then you don't need to do it. Doesn't matter how sexy or how trendy or whatever the opportunity is. Make for sure that it makes sense in terms of the time and of not just yours, but the resources required of your staff. That's one thing that people do not, to me, monetize enough, and that is what does it take for me to run one of these assignments when they give it to me? Right?
I'm glad you said that, because I have a guy that he does a lot of insurance work for one of the local roofers in town. I mean, he makes a lot of money, but he does all the paperwork. And and he does it all himself. So it's a lot of time invested. He says nobody understands the amount of time that I have invested in making sure the paperwork's right. And he's got it down to almost a science now. And he's worked with the adjusters so much in the past few years that they've helped him, and they help him more now than they did before. But that's time spent that you don't even think about going into it.
Right. And a couple other things that I would note is I took as this, look, what kind of, program is it that stretches your credit or your cash, right? So if I got a storm and I'm doing roofs, and most guys, they're not these big national companies, so they've got a local roofing company and they have credit limits. Sure. And so, 3 or 4, if a storm comes in, and pretty quickly these guys run out of credit and are having to wait for, mortgage companies to release funds or whatever the case may be. Yeah. And so you need to be really, really careful that the opportunity doesn't glaze your eyes over to reality. And from a credit standpoint, you got to look and ask yourself, okay, how is this managed repair company going to help me avoid getting myself in a credit crunch? Same thing with cash. If you need to ask, these guys need to ask, okay, if I do a job for you, how long am I going to have to use my cash before you pay me what you owe me? Right. Most of these managed repair companies are extremely quick on the draw when it comes to paying. The guys need to understand that. They get these big ideas and these big, their eyes are wide open saying, oh, great, what a great opportunity managed repair companies are. And then in the essence, if you really just back off of it and look at it, it might not make sense because of your credit strain and your cash capabilities.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're a bad contractor. It just means you need to look at that stuff before you jump into anything.
Well, yeah, because it's all about, you're doing it for the money. You're thinking about it to make more money or to do more business. And in the end, it's like guys who grow too fast that end up putting themselves out of business because they didn't know how to handle
exactly
what was coming in at that time.
100%. So are managed repair companies good programs to be involved in? I think generally so, right? And I think that if everything that we've talked about today is considered, it makes good business sense for some, not all.
Right.
But you just got to slow yourself down and look at, by company that you're looking to talk to, the true fit factor. What am I giving and what am I getting in return?
Right. And so, guys, here's the thing that I was just thinking about, too, is like the time to do it is before you need it.
Right.
So if you're thinking about doing, next storm season or, if stuff like that's going to happen, then
right.
Start doing your research now because in the middle of storm season or when it hits, you're going to just grasp at the closest straw you've got and you may end up being a loser.
Well, and the other thing is things in a storm event are so hectic. What I get afraid of if the people getting involved in managed repairs at the point of storm, that event has just happened. Boy, sometimes everybody bends the wrong direction in terms of training in particular, and what ultimately happens is it's a bad experience for the managed repair company, the contractor, the insurance company, and most importantly, a bad experience for the homeowner. So I concur. If these guys are interested, storm season for hail and wind kicks up probably in March. Now's the time. Start looking around, put your oars in the water, so to speak, and just, try to figure it out because right now there will be no pressure. Most managed repairs, they still, some of them are still running some claims, but by and large, they're kind of gearing up for the season before us. And so I agree with you.
Wow. This has really been interesting. Just a lot of neat stuff that I've never even thought about. And I'm sure that a lot of guys do think about it or how do I do it, but this has really been a lot of information, useful information, I think, for a lot of guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
I really appreciate you being on the show and going through this. Is there anything in the back of your mind you've been thinking about you want to say that you haven't gotten out yet?
Well, I think that the best thing that's been said that needs to be reiterated is, look, just make a decision. Managed repair is not going away, right? Managed repair is going to grow in scope. More carriers are starting to roll out these type of programs across the country, and it's only going to get. Let me give you one statistic. I haven't given you any statistics, so bear one with me. So, insurance claims right now, less than of all insurance claims that have occurred in 2016. I don't have data for 17 yet, obviously, but 2016, less than 1% of all insurance claims done last year were done through a managed repair program. That's nothing, right? But the noise that has kind of come out of that less than 1% has been crazy. Just loud and people, confused and frustrated and aggravated. Now, they're saying by 2020, Dave, that by 2020, 10 to 12% of all claims will be run through a managed repair program. Why? Because it's allowing the insurance company to control more of the cost and to offset some of those things we talked about earlier, and that was overspending and fraud. So, guys, take now, before this thing gets so overwhelming it's too late, right? Take now just to analyze, gather your facts, and you'll make a great decision for you as an individual and a contractor in your local market. And that's kind of what I think says it all for me, Dave.
That's pretty awesome. I think that, the managed repair program could be, as far as the insurance company are looking at it, could also be, long-term, keep a lid on prices of insurances going up.
Yeah. Again, go ahead.
But everything happens in due season anyway. So, yeah.
That's true. That's true.
This has really been awesome. How do our listeners get in touch if they want to learn more about managed repair or pretty much the insurance industry and what's going on? How can they do that?
So, I'm a director of a roofing managed repair company, and the name of that company is MadSky. They can go to madskymrp.com, our website, and they can find out if they're in the roofing space, or if they just got a question for me. I travel a lot, and I just go and talk to groups, contractor groups, not really trying to do anything other than educate and inform. And if they would like for me even to do something like that, I'm happy to look into being able to come out and maybe do some conference work or something like that. And they can reach me at rbrock at mrpprogram.com. And, that's rbrock at mrpprogram.com. And if they just got a question, just email it to me, and I'll do my best to answer it.
Sure thing. I'm writing too. All right, that's awesome. This has really been great. I really thank you so much, Reggie, for sticking with us today and sharing all the stuff that's going on that might make it really easier or help you understand a little bit better. So this is cool, and I know that we'll put your LinkedIn, connect with you on LinkedIn too.
That's perfect.
On the show notes.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for the time and your interest in the topic, and hopefully it's been helpful to these guys.
Cool. Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher-end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you were listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast.